Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for clicking my videos. That okay. For those who don't know me, my name is Nabila Indah Purwaningrum. I am the medical student from Islamic University of Sultan Agung that is located in Central Java, Indonesia. So today, if you are clicking my videos, then you are going to identify this article with me. We are going to identify the title and the full text of this article. For the title, we are going to identify with the SPICE formula, and the rest of articles, we are going to identify with the CONSORT checklist. Okay, so we are going to the um, title first. So the title we are going to identify with the SPICE formula. The SPICE formula itself is being formulated by someone's named Melin S. Tulu that is a researcher that making this formula for us for make it us easier and make it ideal for the title and abstract. And he is telling us the matter of the title and abstract. It should be displayed there, the matter. It is important. Okay, so we are going to identify with spice element that is an abbreviation from settings, population, intervention, condition, endpoint, and design. Okay, the first thing first that we are going to identify is the settings. In this, what is settings? The settings means where is the location of this research is being held. So unfortunately, in this article, there's in this title, especially there's no uh, like there's not stated about these settings. There's no location in this title. And then next is the population. Population means who are what is the characteristics of population that is being recruited. The characteristics of population is there is like the mention of sex and age, but unfortunately in this title we can't find it. And then the next letter is I, which stands for intervention. So what is intervention? Intervention is uh, something that we are going to do with the patient. So in this title, fortunately, we have it. So the intervention for the participant is we are going to make them doing the alternate day fasting. And then the next element is the C1. C stands for condition. So that is a specific condition for the participant that we are going to recruit. And this title, we know that the condition of the participant is a patient with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And then next into the fifth element, it's endpoint. So endpoint is the outcome that we could measure at the end of the day uh, to make it to make us think like is this research is successful or not. So in this title, the endpoint is the body weight and dyslipidemia. And then the next one is we are going to identify the last letter that stands for design. It's D. So the design of this article is a randomized control trial. I'm so sorry. Randomized control trial. Okay. This is the title, and we are going to move around. So disclaimer a bit that we are going to move around the page, like for the checklist and for the journal itself. Okay. So first, we are going to see the checklist. What is the checklist? Okay, we can see it here that what we are going to do is we are going to checking if the is the journal fit into the CONSORT um, checklist for identification for the sake of this journal. So we are going to looking for it. So the first section is the title and abstract. That there is a couple items that the A1, AB. Okay. The first A1 is identification as a randomized trial in the title. So what does it mean actually? So the identification as a randomized trial in the title means so there is a clear, transparent, and sufficiently detailed abstract are important because readers often base their assessment of a trial on such information. So they should have the name randomized on the title. So we are going to check it on our article. So we can see this the randomized word that we are going to see here. You can see it here that there okay, we have randomized here. Okay. Okay, 1A checklist. 1A being checked. Okay, 1A check. And then the 1B, the structure of summary of trial design, including method, result, and conclusion. So we are going to move to another checklist. Okay, here is the checklist that what it should be in the abstract itself. Okay, in the abstract itself, it should be titles, authors, trial design, method, result, and conclusion. We are going to tell you that the title, the identification, the study as randomized. That the first thing that I show you before that our title uh, contain word randomized, and then the authors, what does it supposed to be? There is a contact detail for the corresponding author. We can see it here. There's the name of the authors, but there is no um, contact for the corresponding author. And then the trial design, description of the trial design. For example, like parallel, cluster, and inferiority, but unfortunately, we can't find it here. Okay, then jump into the methods. We are going to identify the participant intervention, objective, outcome, randomization, and blinding. So the participant is eligibility criteria for the participant and the settings where the data were collected. So we can see it here that the method is we can see it here is it is CNAFLD, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. This is the participant like, but it only contain the eligibility of criteria, and then jump into the intervention intended for each group. I'm sorry, we can't find it. And then the objective, is it objective or hypothesis? But unfortunately, we can't uh, find it here, so we need to move. And then we are going to see, is there any outcome? Yes, it is. So outcome is the clearly defined primary outcome for this report. We can see it here that we have the outcome right here in this result. The all of it is include into the outcome. Okay, the next we are going to see, is there any randomization and blinding? I'm so sorry that again we can't find it in this uh, abstracts article, unfortunately. And then we need to jump into conclusion. For the um, conclusion, we are going to see, is there any trial registration and funding? Yeah, we have this trial registration here, but I'm so sorry we can't we don't have funding in the abstract. Okay. Okay. Next. Okay. Oh, there's a conclusion. Conclusion is uh there's a conclusion here, but I'm so sorry I didn't checklist it. So the conclusion is the general interpretation of the result. Yes, we have it here. Conclusion. Here is the conclusion. So the conclusion only in this article only contain one sentence, and that's it. Okay, now we move into the CONSORT 2010 checklist. So we have a couple of checklists here. There is a 1A until 25 checklist that we are going to identify. Okay, so the first checklist A1, the randomized trial in the title, we have done, identify it, and then the 1B, the summary of trial design, yes, we have did it just a couple of seconds ago. And then now we move to introduction, which contains background and objective. Is there any 2A specific background and explanation of rational, rational? Okay, so let me tell you what is it. Okay, so so the scientific background and explanation of rationale is authors explain the scientific background and rationale for their trial and its general outline. So remember, it's only the general outline. And we can see it here that the author is explaining to us about the rationale of these articles. We can see it here in the background. And then move to the 2 to be that we are going to identify what the specific objective or hypothesis. So what is that? So in my checklist, we find it. So what is that? So the specific objective or hypothesis mean so hypotheses are the perspective question being tasked to help meet the objective. Hypotheses are more specific than objective and are amendable too. So we can see it here, like in this article, is there this research is going to be objective or proving some hypothesis? So in this article, we fortunately find that the word hypothesis, this trial is going to proving the hypothesis that both ADF and TRF are safe and tolerable diets and achieve a high weight loss and favorable effect on body consumption and blah blah. You can say here. Okay, then we have done for our 2B. Okay, then next to our method. So the first is about trial design. That is going to label 3A is the description of the trial design such as parallel, factorial, including allocation of the ratio. Okay, so for that checklist, unfortunately, have we don't have that one because um it needs to be like say is a parallel or multi-arm crossover cluster or factorial design, but unfortunately in this article we don't have it. In this article there's no specific words that name like those methods. And then we move into the 3B, important change to the methods after the trial commencement, such as eligibility criteria with reason. So in this article, we can't find it either. So we have to know that about the changes itself, that a few trial may start without any fixed plan, but the most will have a protocol that specify in great detail how the trial will be conducted. There may be deviation from the original protocol, as it is impossible to predict every possible change in circumstance during the course of a trial, of course. So but unfortunately, in this article, we don't find any changes for the protocol, so we don't check it. We don't like mark it as checks. And then we move to participant. For A is eligibility criteria for the patient. So the eligibility criteria, it is contain two things: inclusion and exclusion. Inclusion means some characterization that the patient um, have to own to be like allowed to being participant in this research. And the exclusion is the some exclusion that the patient can't have it for joining this research. For example, um, if one patient have all the inclusion criteria, but they have like just only one exclusion, then they will like kick out from this research, because the exclusion is it means like you can't have it because it's risky to your health itself. Okay, now we can see it here. So this is the inclusion criteria. You can see it here. And then now we are moving to the 4B. So what is 4B? 4B is the settings and the location where the data is collected. Okay, so it means that in this article, it needs to be like being stated where is the data is collected. In this article, we know that, I'll tell you now. In this sentence, the patient are recruited from the Changsha area, China, like provincial people hospital, etc. That's something like being stated where the research is being held. Okay, the next checklist is the intervention level number 5, the intervention of each group with sufficient details to allow replication, including how and way and where and when they were actually administered. We can see it here. So I will tell you a bit about the intervention. So the authors should describe each intervention truly, including a control intervention. Also, the description should allow a clinical wanting to use the intervention to know exactly how to administer. The intervention was that was evaluated in the trial. So we are going to see it here. This is the intervention that is given to the participant by the clinician. Next is the outcome. It's 6A, completely define the pre-specified primary and secondary outcomes, including how and when they were assessed. So it's 6A. Okay, this is the 6A. Actually, it comes a lot here, but I will tell you about the okay. So I will tell you about the measurement. Like all RCDs assess response variables or outcomes for which the groups are compared. So the primary outcome measure is the pre-specified outcome considered to be the greatest importance to relevant stakeholder. You can see it here, like a couple of measure that they are going to be a measurement performed at the beginning of each week. They are will wearing some shoes and light clothing, and then for the measurement, they will measure the liver stiffness, blood samples, and the like measure your hunger, fullness, and satisfaction of this patient. Okay, our next checklist is the 6B. Any changes to the trial outcomes after the trial commence with reason. So as I said before that this paper research, they are not having any change after the trial. So it runs perfectly, no change after all. Okay, next we are going to looking for the sample size, like for the label 7A and 7B. 7A, how the sample size were determined. Okay, the sample size was like determined. It is means like the element of the samples calculation are the Tassimon estimated outcomes in each group, and then the type 1, type 2, and then the for the continuous level, standard deviation, etc. But unfortunately, we don't have it again in this article. And then next, it is the um, sample size 7B, like when it is applicable, explanation of interim analysis and stopping the guidelines. No, we don't have it now. Next, it's randomization, the sequence generation. It's It's the 8A, the method used to generate the random allocation sequence. We can see it here. This is the 8A that they are going to use the computer generated random number sequence. Next, it's 8B, the type of randomization details of any restriction, such as blocking and block size. So we can see it here. There's the block randomization. So what is block randomization? So block is randomization means that the randomized is going to be fair by the numbers. Like it's going to be 111, like 222. So the comparison is not 1 to 1 or 1 to 2, it's 111. So it's equal. And then the next one is number 9, it's allocation mechanism used to implement the random allocation sequence. Describing any steps taken to conceal the sequence until intervention were assigned. So unfortunately, in this article, we don't have it either. And then the next one is implementation. So in the implementation, level number 10, who generated the random allocation sequence, who enrolled participant, and who assigned the participant to intervention. So this is the number A. Number 10, I'm sorry. So what it is actually like the order, it needs to tell who is the one who enroll the patient, who is the one who um, making like the generated allocation sequence, etc. And it is being stated here. And then the next check is the blinding, like 11A. If none who was blinded after the assignment to the intervention. And how? I'm so sorry in this article because this article is not stated. Because why? Because this article is neat. It's taught the participant to eat and fasting to see how their body will react. And of course, there is no blinding here because the participant know what the intervention that they get, what the clinicians also know, and the statistician also know. And then after that, there's 11B, if relevant description of the similarity of intervention. There's not being stated here. And then statistical method, 12A, so statistical methods used to compare groups for primary and secondary outcome. We can see it here for the 11 for the 11B, 12A. I'm sorry. For the 12A, this is being stated here. And then next, it's 12B methods for additional analysis, such as subgroup analysis and adjust analysis. No, in this article, it's not being stated. After that, we are going to see the result. 13A for each group, the numbers of participants who were randomly assigned received intent treatment and were analyzed by the primary outcome. We can see it here from the chart itself. This is the flow chart, which contain this one. This screening, there's 285 people getting screening, but 14 people getting excluded because they didn't qualify, 8%, and we withdrew prior to randomization, 6%. And then 271 people is getting the intervention, which is 79% going to be a control group. They are complete, and then the ADF is 95%, and then but like 5 people drop out because their reason like scheduling conflict and couldn't adhere to the diet, and then 90% complete the ADF, and then the TRF is 97%, which 2% drop out, and the 95% is complete. And then next into our 13B for each group lose and exclusion after randomization together with reason. We can see it here. Actually, yeah, you can see it here. You can see it here. This is 13B. And then next we are going to recruitment. 14A, dates defining the period of recruitment and follow-up. That is not being stated in this article. And then 14B, why the trial end or was stopped. So there's in this article there's no change, and the research is not being stopped, so it is going well in 12 weeks. And then next, okay, the next one is the baseline data that is labeled by number 15. It's a table that showing baseline demographic and clinical characteristic for each group. And we have it in this article. So I'll show you. This is the table of characteristic baseline that is mentioned: age, sex, body weight, height, BMI, etc. And that is being assessed by a couple group, that is control group, ADF group, and TRF group, and the mean value itself. So this is the characteristic of the baseline at the baseline. Okay, next we are going to identify the next one is number analyze. Number 16, like for each group number of participants include each analysis, whether the analysis by original assigned group. Unfortunately, in this article we don't have it. And then next, it's outcomes and estimation. It's level 17A, that for each primary and secondary outcome, result for each group, and the estimated effect size and its position. So we find it here. This is the 17A. Like, we know that there is the total cholesterol decrease, triglycerides also decrease, and then after 12 weeks, triglycerides also decrease in ADF group, etc. And then we are going to next into our 17B, like for binary outcomes, presentation of both absolute and relative effect size is recommended. Unfortunately, in this article, we don't find it. Next one, after that, it's ancillary analyze. That is label number 18. The result of any other analyze performed, including subgroup analyze and adjust analyze, distinguish, pre-specify from exploratory. Fortunately, again, that is not being stated in these articles. After that, we are going to analyze the harms, label number 19, the all important harms or unintended effect in each group. And sorry again, we don't find it in this article. And then result is done. We are going to next to the discussion table, discussion checklist. So in discussion, we are going to check about the limitation, generalizability, and interpretation. So the first thing is limitation, which label number 20. It's what it's supposed to be. It should be like total limitation addressing source of potential bias, imprecision, and if relevant, multiplicity of analyze. Okay. Mm, uh-uh. So it is stated here in discussion. Mm, okay. This is a limitation, like certain limitation on this study should be addressed first, although IDF wasn't associated with creator rate, and then the second one, the third one. So this in this article, that is the limitation is really being explained well. Okay, next uh, we are come out with generalizability, like number 21. Generalizability means like external validity, applicability of trial findings. Unfortunately, we don't find it in these articles. And then the next one is the interpretation. Number 2020, not label number 2022, interpretation consistent with result, balancing benefit and harms, and considering other relevant evidence. Okay, we can find it here for the number 2022. Like here, it is being stated well in this article. Okay, next we are going to continue, and other section is other information. We are going to identify about the registration protocol and funding. The first is registration. What is registration means, like registration number and the number and the name of trial registrar. Okay, so in this article, that is not being stated about the number of registrar in the full text, but we can see it on the abstract, that is there is the number of registration, but in the full text we don't find it. So like actually, like why do we need to like put the trial registration? Why is it important? It is important because we need to avoid, like minimize the problems that could come out. It's also like if we register it, that we have like if we are registering a randomized trial, the authors typically report a minimal set of information and obtain a unique trial registration number. It is the unique trial identification number, and um, the purpose of it is to record other basic information about the trial so that essential details are made publicly available. So it can be accessed by anyone, not getting problems. We could minimize it and avoid it at the end of the day. And then next, but unfortunately, it's still not being stated in the full text, but you can see it on the abstract before. Next, it's protocol, like being labeled number 24, where the full protocol can be accessed if available. So this unfortunately, again, in this article, we don't have the protocol where where is the full protocol or the full systemical protocol that is being used in this research because it's not being stated in this article itself. So we couldn't find anything about the protocol. And the last thing is the funding. That is label number 25. It's source of funding and other support such as supply of drugs, role of funders, etc. We can see it here about the funding. Okay, this is the fundings that in this article, no funding was obtained for this study because um, the intervention, we could see it that is people being hospitalized, that they are going to get the food and they are getting a window where they could eat and couldn't eat, and it's there's no funding. Why the funding it needs to be like um it's need to be written because like of course we want to know like authors like it's authors should report it the results of the source of fundings for the trial as this is important information for readers assessing a trial. Like, we will not believe if the funding itself is from a pharmacologist factory that they are going to make some drug and they the one who making the research. Like we will like, is there no bias at all from this research? The readers, so the readers have to like it needs to be written that we are going to understand and we are going to believe for the result of this research, right? So that is why the funding is also important. Okay, I think that's all my presentation today. Like for other explanation or maybe critics, I will openly accept it, and you can comment or something that you want to ask or comment, just commenting. You do you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your time. It's a long, long video, but I hope you all guys can find the knowledge that I have tell you guys. Okay, thank you for listening. Goodbye. See you when I see you.